Be sure to check out my Veve and Omi Investors group in the description down below. Together we build generational wealth and go over everything you need to be profitable in the Veve markets. Yo, what is going on, y'all? I'm Cavell Anderson, and we're back with another Veve and Ecomi video. And this one, we're actually going to be checking out something interesting. So Hello K actually answered a really big question when it comes down to how Recur was able to secure the MTL and Veve was not. And people don't actually understand the differentiation between what Veve is doing and what they're going after and the tech side of things, because it's people think that this should just be easy. It should just be an easy process. I know I made a video on it earlier or yesterday actually. But yeah, like Kay is going to really go in depth into this one. He's going to do an amazing job. So let me know if you all are enjoying this type of content. If you are, we can continue this going. Be sure to keep dropping the thumbs up so I'll know. We can continue to do more content like this in spaces where I literally answer questions and Kay answers questions and other people just answer questions and really break down the things that the community cares about, because I think that this community driven content is way more impactful at a time like this. So, but that's my personal opinion. So I have to see if you all enjoy this. But that being said, be sure to drop that thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications, and I will catch you all on the next one. Peace out, y'all.
With everything that's going on with Veve, you know how we all saw Recur just announce its cash out system across 84 countries, 6 continents. With them releasing that, do you have any insight for us that you could share about the realities of probably the dynamics of what Vive's actually facing with their MTL? I think a lot of people are wondering, if Recur did it in 3 months, why hasn't Veve?
Yeah, Veve's situation is different, right? So one thing is Recur's a very new project, so they've been playing a bit more. So one, they haven't obviously got anywhere near as many IP drops, etc. that they've done. So it's a little bit easier for them to just focus on this rather than focusing on doing the drops. So clearly they've prioritized MTL as a way of. For them, it's a bit of a marketing play as well, because they know that Veve's a competitor and they know that Veve's had issues with MTL. So how do you get more people? Show that you can do MTL before Veve. So clearly they focused on that, because they've clearly not focused on the content because there's not really that much on there yet. So that aside, the true issue facing Veve is it goes back to they never intended to have a fiat cash out system. It was always supposed to be an Omi. And because they hacked together this kind of rudimentary cash out system, for them it's a bit different, right? Firstly, they, unlike a more recent project, they've been around for longer, which means they've made a lot of mistakes already. A lot of new projects haven't made mistakes yet, so they haven't learned from those mistakes. And one of the mistakes Veve made is inadequate testing. As an example, we used to have Omi to gems. However, that API broke. People were getting free gems. Again, it's happened multiple times where people have found exploits to get free gems, and that absolutely screws up Veve's cash flow, right? Because now it's what do? Do you ban all these people for exploiting the gems? How do you cash them out because you haven't got any fiat back to those gems? That becomes an issue. Now, the second thing that Veve needs to focus on is, unlike Hero or Recur, where your balance, they're not backed by a crypto. That's the thing, right? These are just NFT platforms. There is no underlying random token that kind of facilitates the transactions like there is in Veve. And the benefit of that is if you're just, you've got virtual USDT basically, or USD in your app, it's pretty simple to move that around. There's no real kind of system required for that transfer. However, with Veve, it's a bit different, right? What you're doing is you're essentially buying an in-app currency, in this case gems, which is supposed to be pegged to dollars, but instead it's pegged to the dollar equivalent of Omi. And the problem with that is, Veve, clearly they've been exposed to a lot of exploits, and they're going to have to do a lot more due diligence in terms of the auditing of these gems. And that's the thing that they're doing. I believe what they're doing right now is they're putting in place a pipeline to do kind of automated auditing of these gems, because the issue is they cannot be cashing out gems that were kind of introduced into the app for exploits or money laundering or stuff like that. There is going to be a gem auditing process, unlike these other platforms. So Veve has, again, more testing to do with, auditing these gems in terms of the process of converting these gems to fiat as well. There's a secondary pipeline there. It's not just straight fiat to cash out. It's gems to fiat to cash out. There's a second layer there. And Vivi really, they've learned their lesson from having all of this litigation in them in the past. They definitely do not want to get involved in any kind of money laundering litigation, because if they end up not having proper procedures in place for preventing money laundering, then they will get fined. And I don't think they can deal with any more fines, because I think their cash flows are kind of a bit hemorrhaged right now. So yeah, that's basically the issue. They're just trying to be overly safe, because it's better safe than sorry. That's like all I can say about that.
That makes sense, right? And Kay, that like when you say it like that, Kay, like I think like you're giving us insight from whatever source it's coming from, but like that makes perfect sense to me right there. Like that is explaining, and I understand how the community might want that explanation. A lot of people may not understand it. They may not comprehend what it means. They may not be able to digest it, and like that's okay. But like we also can't chastise our fucking, you know what I mean? One of the co-founders were saying, hey, New Zealand is on that list for recur. Like, why are we not there? Because he said, oh, New Zealand, this, that. Like, okay. Like, that's the explanation he gave. And I'm sure they're definitely going through that. But do you want him to be on an AMA and go through all that shit that Kay just went over? Nobody wants that. Like, nobody's going to want that. That's just going to confuse people that much more. So, Kay, that was really well said, bro. For real. Like, that actually gives me a lot of insight. Thanks.
Oh, no worries.
And that's why we love Kay, right?
That should be recorded and played on a loop.
Actually, so this
I think it is being recorded.
So I'm gonna clip it down and put Kay's icon there and then play that with some static sounds. Yeah, that's good stuff, Kay, man. Anybody else want to speak on this topic? Would love to hear some different perspectives. Before we do, Kay, I want to ask you real quick about this too. With the Veve team, right? We saw them pull back a little bit with communication, right? They're having frequent AMAs. They were talking to community really often. With the ways in which they've pulled back communication, they do the recorded AMAs now. They kind of like adapted, learned from some of the different things that have come about, right? Do you think the reason they're doing that is because they're just investing so much more of their time into these new issues that have been brought to light within the community?
Yeah, so a couple of reasons. One reason is they've migrated from their AMAs from Discord to Twitter, and that is actually quite a significant thing, because with Discord, they could kind of have, they could bring people up quite easily, and just have them kind of pitch in as well. Like, for example, like when it was technical questions, Reese would always kind of just ask me if I could pitch in there. But with Twitter, they don't do that. It's like they bring you up, you ask a question, they pull you back down. So obviously, right now, we're going through a period where the questions are heavily technical. And what typically happens is Dan kind of, if he shows up, I don't know, he'll say something that doesn't really have too much, quite often, it's not really the answer people are looking for. And David, he normally doesn't speak about that stuff anyway. Like, he's more focused around like the IP partnership stuff. So people kind of kept getting very fluffy answers, or like hashtag soon for their answer. And I think they've noticed people were just constantly like getting frustrated. So for them, doing this pre-recorded format is better, because with them, if you give them a question and give them like a few days to go away and research the answer, they can give you the answer, right? But if you put them on the spot and just ask them straight away right then and there, most of the time they're not going to know, because they're not like overly technical people, like they're businessmen. So for them, it's better to kind of research the questions that are getting asked by the community, come up with an answer, and then give a pre-recorded answer to that question. And then people, they feel like they're actually getting something of substance. So I believe that's the main reason why they've done that. But at the same time, I think, they probably felt like, they were getting put on the spot a bit too much. And I think sometimes you do kind of want to give newer people the kind of opportunity to ask these questions live as well. But at the same time, there is also frustration there from people who kind of have been around for a long time. And it's like, they're answering the same question we already know the answer to like 500 times. And it's like, you just want to kind of know, the important things. But obviously newer people wouldn't know that. So I think this kind of pre-recorded format allows them to do things in their own time, give answers of true substance. And, it generates more value for people watching as well, because you're not sat there listening to the same question being answered for like the 500th time either. So yeah, I think it probably works better for them.
A quick follow-up, and then we can move to somebody. You said they're not overly technical people; they're more so businessmen. Do you think that's one of the big reasons why we're seeing kind of like them lagging behind in some of these different features, bringing them to the app?
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly it. So this is kind of like known in the industry, right? But generally, like the most successful tech startups, I mean, this is just how it is, right? The most successful tech startups, the kind of founders are themselves, tech people. It just is what it is, right? If you have a successful company in an industry, usually that company is successful because the founders are experienced, like, very experienced in the industry. So, for example, Tesla, right? Elon Musk himself is an engineer. If I look at crypto-based projects like Illuvium, literally the entire founding team are all engineers. Immutable X, like, they're all engineers. Hero, they're, the collective side, the collect side, like the founder, Gavin, he himself is a very good engineer. So it only helps drive the direction and the business decisions of the company, and prioritization. If it's a tech-based product and the person behind it understands how to build the tech, it only makes sense. And I've seen this happen all too often, where you get too many like non-tech people come in and they don't know how to prioritize certain things, and things get left unchecked, and then you get all this technical debt and it builds up over time, and then the whole system starts breaking because you didn't fund the correct things that need to be funded. And I actually saw that happening with Veve quite early on, and now we're starting to see the repercussions of that. I always go back to that technical debt point, but that's not to say that it's like a necessity. It just means that Dan and David, they need a very, very good technical advisor, and they need to listen to that person, because right now it feels like they're making that common mistake where they're going out, they're saying we'll be able to deliver X, Y, and Z, and that's the problem. Is when you're not a technical person, you can't truly estimate like how long a feature is going to take, because you don't even know how to build it yourself. Like, how are you going to estimate it? And Dan himself has said on Twitter that some of his devs have gotten pretty annoyed at him, like, for like quote unquote promising things. They're like, Dan, you promised them what? And especially if you do this to shareholders and you say, oh yeah, we'll get this done by next month, and then you go to the devs and they're like, we can't do that in a month. We can do it in maybe 3 months, and then then you get all these problems. So yeah, that's the other thing. Is it definitely does help. If you're not technical yourself, you need a technical advisor, and you need to listen to what they say. And it would very much help if you can bring that technical advisor with you to Twitter Spaces to answer those technical questions.